Hello all, welcome to another Rook Endgames series lesson. In the previous lesson, we saw positions where the king was cut off by one file, but using the defensive frontal attacks technique, they were able to draw. Here we start with positions where the black king is at the same cut off from the pawn by one file, but with the unfortunate position for black of the king not being in the e5 or e6 square. So here it's a win for white. And the technique was briefly covered on the previous lesson, but let's review it. So the idea is we need to advance the pawn to the fifth rank, so we are able to reach winning Scipione Lucena position, the lesson that starts the city. If you haven't also review that one because it's a core important one. And here, of course, black will try to check the king, then attack the pawn, of course. So we need to protect and then arrest the king again. And when we reach this position, we are able to protect the pawn with our rook, which is the key to be able to force the Lucena position. So now, if black, for example, tries to come with the king, we attack the rook. The rook needs to go to c5. Of course, the king attacking our rook is not enough because we can check it first and then take the rook. So this is obvious not working. So the rook goes to c5 and now the king attacks the rook again. When the rook comes back, I advance the pawn. And this is easily going to be a Scipione Lucena position, a winning position for white. Of course, you have the first lesson to review it. I just show you the maneuver over here. So we keep advancing the pawn until it reaches the seventh rank. As soon as it reaches the seventh rank, we are going to use the building a breach technique. So we are going to check the king so the king moves away. Now going to the fourth rank, then bring the king, and then after a while, we are able to shield our king with rook c4. And of course, here it's impossible for black to avoid the promotion of the pawn and the win. So if it takes the rook now, next move we are going to promote to a queen. So this was the similar position we saw on the previous lessons with a bishop pawn, and the same goes with the center pawn. So the center pawn, same position. The king is not the black king is not in a perfect square, so we are able to use the exact same technique to basically advance the pawn, which is the first aim to win this one. And as soon as the pawn is on the fifth rank, we are sure to be able to reach the winning position that we saw already. And so no need to go until the end, but the pawn will reach the seventh, and then we just use the same technique of the Scipione Lucena position to win. Let's go for with the king on the opposite side of the ideal square. So here the ideal square are f5 and f6. And here, of course, we can use more techniques. This is even worse than before. And the easiest one is to advance the pawn. So don't wait for it. If you are able to do it, because as the king isn't on f7, there is no backup technique for black of fighting for the e file. Of course, exchanging the rooks, and then the king can control the promotion of the pawn. So here we just advance the pawn, and of course it's going to be easier. We deliver this intermediate check, so the king is moved farther away, and then we just advance the pawn, and so it's again an easier win from now. Let's finish this one. This is not going to be a very hard lesson, I believe, with a knight pawn. And of course, with rook pawn, we are going to cover because they are mostly a draw, but we already saw some before. But the demands to win a rook pawn is very hard. We saw that on a previous lesson also. So here, let's focus on the knight pawn, and here we aren't able to win. Why? Because if we try to come with the king, which is the only way to try to promote to advance the pawn, we are going to to suffer a check, and after a while Now, of course, we can't go to the side or attack the rook because behind the king is the pawn. So the king needs to come to a5, and as we saw from the beginning, there is no progression. And with no progression, this is a draw. So not a hard lesson, but an important one and a setup for future ones. At least we know how to win in an uncomfortable position for the black king when, like in this example, is not able to control it all. So hope you enjoy, and I see you in future lessons. Bye bye.